Chapter 9, Security, Privacy, and Data Integrity. Learning objectives. You will be able to explain the difference between the terms security, privacy or privacy, and integrity of data. The three terms: security, privacy, and integrity. Show appreciation of the need for both the security of data and the security of the computer system. Data, the computer system also has to be kept securely. Describe security measures designed to protect computer systems, ranging from the standalone PC to a network of computers. Standalone is that the one that we are using, you and I, but networked is or connected together. How to protect all of them. True understanding of the threats to computer and data security posed by networks and the internet. When you are connected to the internet, you are bound to get these security threats. Describe methods that can be used to restrict the risks posed by threats. What are the methods available? Describe security measures designed to protect the security of data. And how data validation and data verification will help to protect the integrity of data. And methods of data validation, methods of data verification during data entry and data transfer. Two things. One is data entry. That means you enter the name, address, age through the keyboard. Remember? The transmission or the data transfer through cables or wireless media from one place to another. Then also there can be errors, just like typing errors. On the way, things can change. So the definitions: data integrity, privacy, and security. A lot of definitions in this chapter. Data integrity, that is accurate and up-to-date data. If the data is accurate and up-to-date, and it has to be, that's a responsibility of persons or organization that stores data. Somebody storing data for someone or organization. Example: bank, hospital, school. Those are the organizations who keep data of others. Then data privacy, second one. So data integrity, you know that the accuracy and up-to-date, updated, always updated. We have to change. The phone is changed, phone number, address change, like that. Then data privacy, available only to authorized users. That is what is required. It cannot be available to each and everyone. A person should be in control of which data about himself or herself is made public and which data remains private. Every person should be in control of that. He can decide, he or she can decide what is to be public and what information about that person to be kept private. Data protection law. That is a law that relates to data privacy. We need not know the law now here, but that will deal if these are violated. The major focus relates to personal, therefore private. That data that an individual supplies to an organization. So this law deals like the major focus relates to personal, therefore private. Personal data is private. The data that an individual supplies to an organization. If you give the school your data, or when opening an account, you are required to give certain data. Then the data is supplied to allow the organization to use it, but only for purposes understood and agreed by the individual. You have seen, no, the contracts, the agreements when you sign, before you sign up with another website or any institute, you are required to go through the rules and regulations and then sign up. That you agree to the terms and conditions. Data protection laws oblige organizations to ensure the privacy and the integrity of this data. So this law will make sure, or at least require, the organizations to give. Otherwise, penalties. Penalties. If the organization fails to ensure the privacy of an individual's data or the integrity, and then they are liable. Then the next one is, unfortunately, having laws does not guarantee adherence to them, but they do act as a deterrent if wrongdoers can be subject to legal proceedings. If there is no law saying you cannot kill or murder is prohibited, what will be the situation? Even with the law, even with the restriction or the prohibition of this law, with this law, still people kill. Every day you hear that people are being murdered and all that. So just imagine if there was no data protection law, how even with the law, they select, they steal, or they are not responsible to keep the data private. They sell, some organizations sell these data, like the email addresses. They say, okay, 5 lakhs or 5 million email addresses for $20 or something like that. They sell. And then they start, those who buy, they start sending spam emails. Spam meaning for advertising. For advertising also, they use this and send. Then data security, that's the third one. Yeah, learning, integrity, privacy, and security. The third one is data security. Requirement for data to be available for use when needed. So you have to keep it, and if it is not available when you need it, then that is not data security. Ensure that only authorized users have access to system and data can be recovered if lost or corrupted. So you can't say this organization, when the individual wants the data or if some for requirement, they can't say data is lost. There was a virus attack or there was a bomb blast, floods, fire. They can't just give that excuse and get away. They are liable. They have to keep them secure. They have to take measures. If lost, how do you recover? If corrupted, a virus attack will corrupt the files. What to do? They have to be prepared for those things. Data security must be achieved before either data integrity or data privacy can be achieved. Why? If you fail in data security, there is no data at all when you want. And if there is no data, then there is no purpose of data privacy and data integrity. Those two are meaningless for data that is not there. But it does not guarantee either data integrity or data privacy. So data security doesn't guarantee either data integrity or data privacy. Just because it says this cannot guarantee these two. Those are independent. Ensuring the system security helps to protect data. So this will help to protect data by ensuring the system continues to carry out the tasks users need. Ensuring the system continues to carry out the tasks users need. Users need some tasks to be carried out, and you have to ensure. Ensuring that only authorized users have access to the system. Those two, the data security will provide. Then we come to threats to the security of a computer system and of the data stored in it. Not only the data, but the whole system. What are they? Individual users not taking appropriate care. So here, that is also a threat. Individual user doesn't take appropriate care, even physical, you spill water or something like that. That is also a threat, no, to the security of a computer system. So there are many things. Internal mismanagement. That means this is not individual or personal, like in an organization, the IT department or the information processing department, they are internal mismanagement. They are not managing it properly. And natural disasters, lightning, floods, those. Unauthorized intrusion into the system by an individual. So that is like a hacker. Hacker is a good example for this. Not only that, even specifically, what about an individual entering the computer room? Unauthorized person. That also can be a threat. Then malicious software entering the system. That, of course, again, yeah, that is normally through a network. But what about this particular unauthorized person intruding? Can't he or she install the software without anybody's knowledge? So those are extra knowledge for you to think about. But bad intention, malicious, malware, threats to computer and data security posed by networks and the internet. So now we are talking about external threats. No standalone computers now. Of course, our personal ones are standalone. Your computer is standalone, my computer is standalone. But what does this say? No standalone computers now. All connected to networks and eventually to internet. So then, if you look at it carefully, from a different angle, your computer is not standalone anymore. Once you get connected to the internet, it's connected to the whole world. So the hackers are there, malicious software there, unauthorized access to a computer system. Person without authority, without the user's knowledge, will enter that system. Access to private data that is there. The intruder can have access to private data, the individuals, the user's data. Delete files. He can delete files and cause problems with the running of the system. Windows, disable certain parts and like that. You can really create havoc, real misery, real trouble to the user. Then malicious software entering the system. Now here there is no software. Hacker, there is no software. He will be using software. You might use software to hack, but once you enter, he is just using your computer. Like on his screen, he'll be seeing your work. And the malicious software is what? Virus, various spyware, and anything Trojan horse. If you go through the malicious software list, there's a whole lot. Worms, right? So all those things are external threats because they can enter your system through the internet connection, open to the whole world. What are the types of these things? Malware, malicious software. Malware means malicious software that has the intention of causing harm to a system or its contents. So one category is program code of the following types. So one category is program code of the following type because they are programs. Malicious software means they are also programs. Virus, that's the number one threat tries to replicate itself inside other executable code, right? Like the COVID virus or any other virus, they look for a host, no? Even COVID, when it gets infected, when it infects another uh, patient, another person, that's a host. That person becomes host for the virus to grow, get nourishment and the necessary uh, material from the host, grow, replicate. Replicate means replica, making replicas like duplicating. Duplicate means making copies like multiplying. And then again tries to infect another person. That is why this is called a virus, like the biological virus. Tries to replicate itself inside other executable code. It won't go as a separate program file. That is why you can't find them here. Here you will not get uh, the file name, the virus will not appear here because it doesn't come alone, like standalone. It will be attached to another exe file. Why exe file? Because when the exe file starts executing, when it becomes a process, when it goes into the RAM, the ride is over. The destination is reached. When that code also will be inside the RAM and that will start on its own. It's like a separate subroutine. So categories, what are the categories of this virus? Boot sector, macro viruses, there are many categories like that, etc. The worm runs independently and transfers itself to other network hosts. So here you don't need another file to get attached to, it just goes. Unlike a virus cannot go on its own. It rides on another file. Logic bomb stays inactive until some condition is met. Why it is called logic is because our logic statements are if a condition is true, do this. If it is false, do the other else. So likewise, this the logic bomb will wait for a particular condition. What are the conditions? Maybe a date, some famous person's date, or some a day, the year, or some specific day, famous day, like that, or a time period, maybe after 3 months, maybe after 1 month. It will keep time, and then become active on that day at that particular time. That's why it's called logic bomb, like a time bomb. The bomb will explode at the set time. Then the next one is Trojan horse. Replaces all or part of a previously useful program. So there's what you have been using. This will replace the whole program or a part of it. It enters the system and does this. It looks like a normal, harmless thing. So you don't suspect it. Spyware collects information and transmits it to another system. Spyware, like the keylogger, which means when you type your password, your credit card number, or whatever, all the keystrokes can be copied and sent to another place, another destination where the hacker will be waiting for this. That is why it's like spying, spying the enemy, to get the enemy information, to go and spy without that person's knowledge, watch and see what is happening. So if he shows the pin, like uh, or the enemy wants to know what they are doing, or you are fighting a war and you want to find out what the enemy is up to. So then you send a person, it's called a spy. He goes and befriends, right? Appears like friendly and get friendly with them and get the information. Here, Here is a program. It's a software that will reside and be active. When you are typing anything, it take and send. But if you use the virtual, the solution is to use a virtual keyboard. When you click the mouse and select the letters, then it can't copy. Then the bot takes control of another computer and uses it to launch attacks. Your computer will be controlled by another person, another software, right? Bot. And the attacker using the software will control your computer. Malware classified as phishing classifications. These are the types of the classification. Phishing means sending an email or electronic message from an apparently legitimate source requesting confidential information. Like the bank. The bank is sending you an email saying your account is hacked. Please log in. Please log into this, and you are taken to another site. On the commercial bank, it appears to be really genuine. The commercial bank logo, if it is a commercial bank, the commercial bank logo. If it is Sampak Bank, Sela, NB, those, it appears just like the original, they are original, genuine ones. But when you click here to recover your account. That is the bait. When I say bait, it's easy to remember because phishing, not this phishing, the other FI, FISHING. That phishing, you have the bait. No? You cast the line, the hook and the bait. And the bait appears to be very tasty and nice, and the fish comes and eats, then gets hooked. Same way, this email looks very nice and very friendly and protective. They are trying to protect my money. So you promptly quick and you panic. Huh? You think, oh, my account is hacked and then I will lose my money. So quickly click that link to go and correct it. What happens? You don't look at the URL. You must always, this is advice. You must always look at the URL. For example, if this is Zoom meeting, Zoom website, check whether this is this. Zoom, the name is there, and also whether you have seen this before. Sometimes if you see some odd thing, then you better keep away from that. You have been taken to another site. So phishing, and there what happens? At that site, they will say, okay, now enter your username, now enter your password. We will check. We will go into the account and do something. Once you do that, finished. You got caught to the hook, the bait, and they get your username and password. Even before you finish that email, reading the email and all that, they have taken your money. So again, I'll read so that you can connect the picture. Sending an email or electronic message from an apparently legitimate source requesting confidential information. Never give confidential information, even if they appear to be the bank. Banks will never ask over the phone or over the phone. They will verify. Of course, that is there asking questions whether to see whether it's the correct person. That is called authentication. Authenticity of the person. Is it the correct person? Then farming. Setting up a bogus website which appears to be a legitimate site. So that is also another one, but no bait here. The program will somehow come into your system and take you. Without your knowledge, you have gone into that website. Setting up a bogus website which appears to be a legitimate site. Without your knowledge, you are taken. But here, with your knowledge, you get caught. You click the link and then you get hooked. Then keylogger. I briefly mentioned earlier, keylogger, recording keyboard usage by the legitimate user of the system. So when you type your password, credit card number, those things, the keylogger will grab your information and transmit to another place. We come to system vulnerability arising from user activity. The user himself can pose threats. The system will become vulnerable arising from the user's own activity. But the use of weak passwords, to use a simple password like your name jumbled or the name the other way around or something like that, your birthday, car number and all that, something which will make it very easy for the hacker. Then also legitimate user not recognizing phishing or farming attacks. So what we learned earlier, if the user doesn't recognize and gets caught, his own action, not automatic, the user does. Then typical examples of actions that might introduce malware are attaching a portable storage device. What are the portable storage devices you can attach? Start with a pen drive, then DVD, CD, DVD, Blu-ray, or an external hard disk. Attaching a portable storage device. Opening an email attachment. That's another action. Opening an email attachment, not everything, but from an unknown source. From an unknown source, if you open an email attachment just to see what it is, there is a danger. Then accessing a website. What? Freebies, free software, free books, free pictures, free classes, or whatever, anything free coming, be careful. Right? Free things, be careful. You will be taken to that website and download and fill your computer with malware. Downloading a file from the internet. There are many things like as I told you, software, free software to do this, or game software. Download this and start immediately playing. No need of money and all that. Be careful. Then the vulnerability rising from within the system itself. From the system itself, also there are threats. But operating systems often lack good security. Some operating system, they don't have a real good system security because there can be loopholes, viruses and all that come because of that. Increasing complexity leads to more opportunities for weak security. So the more complex the operating system becomes, then more opportunities for weak security. Regular updates to overcome newly discovered security vulnerabilities. This is why you notice the Windows or the operating system getting updated from time to time. Suddenly you find that you don't switch off the computer, your computer, the operating system is being updated, that kind of thing. That is the patches, security patches and enhancements. Of course, the other things are there, but those include when they find that a particular security lapse, then they fix it. They fix it with software and send it to upgrade or update your operating system. So regular updates to overcome newly discovered security vulnerabilities should be done. In the past, commonly used, this is not just, please note that this is not only for the operating system. There are other softwares which have to be updated. There are certain softwares, some utilities which will show. I have a thing called glare utilities. This will show whatever the software that are outdated. and you have to keep them updated all the time. Otherwise, that also is a danger. In the past, commonly used application packages allowed macroviruses to spread. In the past, commonly used application packages, Word, Excel, and all that, macroviruses to spread, allowed macroviruses to spread. There are things called macroviruses, a little bit of subroutine, some software subroutine. But this particular problem is now largely under control. So now, of course, this was a past. You were talking about the past. Now it's largely under control, which means still there's a very small percentage of likelihood. A very specific vulnerability is buffer overflow. Buffer overflow. What is buffer? Buffer is a temporary storage area until some data is processed or some kind of task is over, a temporary storage area. So the program, some programs also some programs have to come into the memory, then see what happens. C programming language does not automatically carry out array-bound checks. Array-bound checks, what are they? An array has the upper bound and the lower bound. Element numbers, the index numbers, upper bound and lower bound. But C doesn't do any checks. Python does. Python will say index out of range. Array index out of range means exceeded the number of elements on the buffer. A program can be written to deliberately write code to the part of memory that is outside the address range defined for that array, set up as a buffer. So they can deliberately write software so that it will go in overflow and go into the other part of the memory where the buffer is. The program overwrites what is stored there. So when the later program reads this overwritten section, it will not execute as it should. Sometimes this only causes minor disruption, but a cleverly designed program can permit an attacker to gain unauthorized access to the system and cause serious problems. For the moment, it's seemingly harmless, but can cause disruption. That's a overflow into the buffer. Now we come to security measures for protecting computer systems. So what are the measures available for us to? One is disaster recovery. To start operations again within a very short time. Bang, there's some problem. A fire, a flood, a bomb attack. What happens if the bank says, sorry, our system is gone, we can't give you cash. If you want, you can give the money and go. Your deposit we will keep and rectify and update your accounts and let you know. But giving cash we can't because, you know why? Because when they get to know that the system is out, they will just write checks. They have 10,000 in the account, they will write checks for 20,000. And they have to give money. ATM is not working, the system is not working. So because of that, they say that what happens? The bank will go bankrupt. You know? All the people, the word will spread. Oh, this bank is destroyed. They can't give our money. Let's close the accounts and take all our money. Then the bank will go bankrupt. So how do you, for these disasters like the floods or the electrical failure, fire, bomb blast, those are called disasters. So when they happen, how do now because of that, the bank cannot go into that situation. They have to say, okay, give us half an hour, just half an hour. We'll be back in operation. We will give you your money and all that. For that, you need a contingency plan. Thing called contingency plan, which means like for an emergency, what are you going to do when this happens? Plan A, plan B, like that. You have a contingency plan based on a risk assessment. That means you assess the risk involved in all the things, and then have this plan. But how to do it? Now, if the risk is more in this particular data, you have to keep it safe. If the risk is less in this computer or this department, so separate like that. You assess the risk and then uh, base the plan on that. Then provision for use of alternative system or hot site away from original location. That means have another like a parallel system going on. The moment this happens, you just take over. No delay at all. For that, it has to be away from the original location. Why is that? Otherwise, a dangerous fire, a bomb blast, can destroy both. What's the use of having two computers, one as a backup, in the same building? The building catches fire. Both systems, there's a chance that both systems will go off. So this has to be away from the original location. It's generally called off-site backup. And this is called hot site because it's already okay then, as like switching on from this system to that system, like put a switch and then the operating. No change of balances and all that. Everything, all the information is there. For that, you have to have a thing called mirror. It's not here, it's not mentioned here in the book, but uh, mirror backup. Like when you write onto the hard disk here, a parallel one, another hard disk, this is written. Right, A here, they are also A. Here ABC, here ABC. So when this is broken and just disconnect, put the connection onto this computer, it's there. Just like a mirror image, like the duplicate of this system. So that is for that, for those recovery plans, you have to have the contingency plan properly studied, carefully prepared plan. Otherwise, you can't be testing at that time. You can't be testing at that time. You have to be 100% sure that this is error-free, foolproof. Then what about safe system update? Parallel running of the old and the new system should be done for some time. Suppose you are doing some system update from Windows 10 to 11 or the application software that you are using, accounting software, salaries, wages, stock control, whatever the packages you are using, you have to update. Like when you say like you have changed, you have to have the old system and the new system going parallel. Even not only the system, the system software, but to buy a new one like a manual system, computerized, or existing computer system change. For some time, both must run parallelly. The old system running and the new system. Of course, there is a disadvantage. You need more staff. It's expensive. You have to pay the staff like overtime or in the evening. You have to do a second shift. But that is important in order to have this contingency plan or facility of taking over immediately without saying we will take about 2 days to fix this. Till then we can't give your money or something like that. That will be disaster. It will be disaster. We are talking about disasters for the data. But if the bank says we can't give money for the next 2 days, that is disaster for the whole bank, not only the computer system. Then the user authentication. Setting up of user accounts is important for multi-user systems to authenticate the user. What are these accounts? In the operating system or the computer that you are using, there are more users. your brother, your sister, your parent, if they're also using the same system, what about having it's called a multi-user system? So many are using, and then to authenticate the user, which user? Say it's not your family only. You have to talk about office, office situation, school situation, some organization. Many users use. So anyone can do something and get away if the system cannot prove who did it. If the culprit cannot be caught, they will do. But here, the operating system will give this authentication. How? You know about it. No, the user, when you put the computer on, it asks for the password, username and password, some system. If you set up. If you don't set up, it won't ask. But the facility is there. We are talking about the facility. Setting up of user accounts is important for multi-user system because there are many using. So if someone cannot be held responsible, all will do their own thing. There is a lot of danger. Alternative methods is a biometric. Some methods are biometric method, that is fingerprint, face, or eye. So what is the connection between this bio and these three? Bio is like your body, your life, your body. From your body only you get the fingerprint, the face, and the eye, facial, facial features and all that can be detected. And the eye also, the retina, there is thing called retina scan. So, and security tokens, small items of hardware. Even with software, it is possible. That is password. With passwords, you can have this authentication. Who is to make sure who is using this? That is the idea. User authentication. We will go through the authentication again. That's a verification of a user's identity. Verification of a user's identity. That is what is called authentication. Then task 9.01. Create an example of a secure password using 8 characters, but not one you are going to use. So, if you are going to use a password today for some new system, don't use that. To give an example, create an example of secure password using 8 characters. So, what are the ideal ways to do? Uh, you can have some characters, number one, then again something, some letter. Example of a secure password using 8 characters, and 8 characters, that is more characters, difficult. Now I want to take you to a website where it will tell your password if, whether it's good or not good. Password checker tools. Easy to check the password strength. How long a hacker will take to crack it? You type your password here. Name. How long to crack? Time to crack your password. 0 seconds. A. I will show it here. CA. 0.02 seconds. This will be cracked. 0.3 seconds. 0.03 seconds. L. 0.01. O. 27 seconds. Even before I finish typing this, it will be cracked. I use it for a bank. And if I have a lot of money, of course I don't have. Otherwise, you might try to crack my bank account and get the money. I don't have any money in the account. So see how weak this is. If I just I'll take this O off and then see why is that? If I put a if I delete this and add a digit, okay, it increased, not 25. And see that alone, because Fernand Doe is a known name when the hackers uh, they take the known ones, common ones first. That is why they never use your name or something like that. Now it became 7 hours. And if I use a like this hashtag here, okay, 29 days, 7 hours, again, 29 days to crack. If you have this as a password. I will take this O off and put another another number, 3, 7 months. Off and put at the rate of 3 years. See how long I take this A of 857 years. I take this R, 13 centuries. See, because this is not like a word. No? See, no, not a word. So 13 centuries it will take. 1,300 years. So that's interesting. You want is URL. Your post page. This will be there, so you can use it yourself. Then 2, assuming that each character, so this you'll have to do. This will take long. Yeah, okay. Assuming that each character is taken from the ASCII set of graphic characters. You know the ASCII code you know now. How many different possible passwords could be defined by 8 characters? How to do it? Mathematicians will know, those who have done maths, how to get the combination. How many ways of combining these letters, 8 characters, to get how many possible. Do you think this is a sufficient number of characters to assume that password would not be encountered by someone trying all possible passwords in turn to access the system? Very difficult. Very difficult to say that it's not possible. It will be possible. Then good practice. What is it? To avoid. No? What these are the measures to security measures for protecting computer system. One is data recovery, disaster recovery, which you can prevent or recover from system. Of course, it will not prevent this disaster recovery plans and backups and all those things. Cannot prevent any such disaster. But if the disaster takes place, you are capable of recovering, resuming the work without delay. So disaster recovery, safe system update, user authentication. Now we come to good practices that you must follow. Not leaving computer switched on when unattended. When you go to lunch, in an office, you go to lunch, keep the computer open and go. You are sure to someone will, I mean, there is a likelihood that someone can harm it before you come back. Or for anything, any urgent matter, you must sign off and go. Not allowing someone to observe you accessing the computer. But it is accessing the computer when you are typing the password, username and the password. If there is someone around you behind or you can't see, and that person can see you are typing the letters that you type, you can immediately ask that person, sorry, can you please look the other side or turn the other side and again. So at that time, if it's a genuine person, okay, I'm sorry, I'll look the other. But if someone says, no, I'm not looking at that. Why are you so worried? I'm just I'm looking at my phone. Why do you think? If they give reasons like that, you have to be very, very careful because they are determined to get your password. That is why they argue and wait without turning around. Not writing down details of how to access it. Never write down your password. If you write down for some reason, it will be very difficult to remember something like that. Immediately destroy it after using it. And also changing. Minimizing the use of portable storage devices. Portable storage devices, we talked about the pen drives, very common pen drives and CDs, tape drives, external hard drives, those things, minimize. Try not to use them. And the password, you have to change from time to time. Firewall, another measure available. Security, check of data sent and received by a computer. A computer can send data, computer can receive. That will be like a security check, like the security guard at the entrance, the exit. Somebody comes in or somebody goes out, open the bag and check for explosives or drugs, or stolen goods, any unauthorized thing. Same way, the firewall also, there's a security check of data sent and received by a computer. It can be hardware, it can be software. Two ways of implementing a firewall. It can be hardware, it can be software. Then look at this firewall. Hardware or software that monitors and controls network traffic. Okay? So if you're connected to the internet, the firewall is essential. To wonder what it is, don't worry because that is there in the operating system. Generally, the safe level. You can change it if you want. Digital signature to check identity of sender of data. In chapter 21, you get this in detail. But for the moment, you think that you can send a certificate of the receiver will know that, okay, this is the genuine person sending a genuine message. Identity of sender is another term we used earlier. Authentication. Who is sending this? Antivirus software and intrusion detection. Usual security measures do not guarantee success in removing all threats. Most of the threats will be removed. Antivirus software removes any type of malware. That is, an antivirus software will remove malware. Special purpose anti-spyware. There are special purpose anti-spyware also. If there is any spyware, it will identify and destroy. Intrusion detection system. There are other systems which will detect there's an intruder, like the burglar alarms we have in the day-to-day our real world example, something like that. Intrusion detection system. People intent on causing damage to systems are using methods that are becoming ever more sophisticated. So the more sophisticated the prevention software become, the perpetrator or the person who commits or the hacker will also improve his methods. So both sides, there is a battle between the two sides. One side is the hacker, the other side is a protector, the software and all that. Yeah. So both sides have to improve. The hacker also improves and the software company also improves. Next is security measures for protecting data. Covering from data loss. How? A disk or tape gets corrupted. Can be a disk getting corrupted, a tape getting corrupted. A disk or tape is destroyed, damaged and destroyed. The system crashes. System crashes also threat to the data. The file is erased or overwritten by mistake. Erased or overwritten by mistake. So you can't recover it. The location of the file is forgotten. You don't know where it is, which folder, which location, you have forgotten. So a full backup is made at regular intervals, perhaps weekly. Once a week, a full backup of the hard disk is taken. At least 2 generations of full backup are kept in storage. What is that? 2 generations. Grandfather, father, and the banks and all that, 3 generations. Third generation is son. Grandfather, father, son. The meaning is you take one backup on first February. If it's a daily one, imagine that it's a daily backup. There can be many frequencies. It can be even hourly. For a bank, hourly would be ideal because then the last backup is 1 hour ago. So what we have lost is minimal. Just for that hour, what you entered during that hour only will be recreated. You have to re-enter those data. So if you do daily and a full backup taken, and 1st February taken, 2nd February, if you use, if you're cost conscious, economically, if you're worried, use the same. If it's a tape, like magnetic tapes I use generally for this, or a pen drive or anything, it can be CD. That same, the magnetic tape is erased and used for the same, on the second day, data type, data backup, whatever. Because if that is also damaged, what happens? For some reason, the 1st February, the hard disk on the system, live system is damaged. When you go to check the 30th, 31st January one, it is overwritten and the same day, 1st February. So both are damaged. So that what they do is, on the 2nd, they don't erase the first one. First one is kept, another backup on the 2nd. Grandfather, father. And if the banks do a third one, that's it. grandfather, father, son. 3 backup. So all 3 getting corrupted or damaged is very unlikely. One getting damaged along with the live system is possible. But 2 or 3 getting damaged at the same time, it's far too much for a coincidence. So that is the system they do. Full backup is made at regular intervals, perhaps weekly. At least 2 generations of full backup are kept in storage for that purpose. Okay, either 2 generations or 3 generations, depending on. And incremental backups are made on a daily basis. That is incremental backup, like what is change only will be backed up. Supposing there was no change, like for example, Saturday, Sunday, or a holiday, no working. So you don't take a backup of that day. But Monday also, for some reason, no change of data. Then you don't take that backup for Monday. Or if you take, you take only the ones that are changed. There are a whole lot of files. And if certain files are not, say, fixed deposits, or if they students, if you take a student system, no tests or like that, no, that day nothing changed, no backup. But on another day, something's changed. Some test data, test results, exam results. So they feed it, the marks into the system. That is taken there. But only the files that are changed. The other files which are how the parents, the residence, the address, the phone number, those things are not changed, then they will take a backup. So that is the OHs are less, the work is less. Backup disks or tapes are stored away. As I said earlier, that's called offsite storage, offsite backup storage. Not on the site. Live site is where the computer system is running. Then restricting access to data. That system administrator may identify different categories of user with different needs. With respect to the data, they are allowed to see and use. Example, in a hospital, the doctors can look, they can view the patient's records, the history. This is the history, the medicines given, operations done, whatever it is. Then you can enter. You can read, you can write, you can change anything, you can delete anything. All the capabilities are there, facilities are there. If you take the nurses, okay, nurses may be allowed to look. The instruction, the doctor's instruction may be there. And then they will look at it and then carry out. So that's a different. They can't enter. Or maybe they can enter also, certain the medicines given and all that, right? Then there's another, maybe the clerical staff, administrative clerical staff, not medical. They are allowed to just see and then take down something, or take a copy and send a letter to the patient asking now it's time for this test or some kind of thing. They can't enter it. So that like that, you can have different levels. So the system administrator may identify different categories of user, doctors, nurses, clerical clerks, with different needs with respect to the data they are allowed to see and use. So those can be done according to the level, user level, different levels. You can restrict access. Different access rights to different files for different individuals. So that is, I explained that also by that. Different access rights to different files. Certain files also can be protected, given access to some. Protecting data content, the data which is there saved, how can you protect it? Encrypt. Data can be encrypted to ensure this. When you encrypt, even if somebody gets hold of it, an intruder gets it, a hacker, he can't use it. Useless. Then we come to data validation and verification. Validation of data entry is implemented by software associated with the data entry interface. Software associated with the data entry interface. So what are those? Presence check, the validation type. There are different types. That is, when you enter data, right? These are not for transmission, remember. Ones that are listed here, not for data transmission, not to detect any errors occurring during transmission. This is data entry using the keyboard. And what are they? And what do you do with that? You can't tell whether the data is right or wrong. For example, if you enter 83, student mark 83 for 38, computer doesn't know which is right. It can't look at the document you're having in your hand. It can't look at the camera cam, look at it and say, oh, that is not 38, that is 83. No, it will accept. But if you enter 101 or -1, then it can detect and those. Programmatically, the validation is done. So what are those checks? Individual checks are, we'll take one by one. A presence check that will ensure that an entry field is not left blank. In some places you may have seen on the internet, email. But you have to enter. They are called mandatory, required. In a simple term, they say required with an asterisk and required. And until you enter it, you can't go to the next page. That is the idea of validation. If it goes, then there's no point. The purpose, if they have for the purpose of sending an email about a result or a test result or something like that, then if the email is not there, purpose is lost. So because of that, the validation check is to ensure, this presence check is to ensure that an entry field is not left blank. You have to enter. Format check, for example, date has to be this. This is an example, right? You can have dash or anything, a dot or something, but this DD, two characters for date, 2 for month, 4 for by year. Like that, it's a format. So you can check whether it's in that format. Whether the year is entered first or something like that, you can check and issue a error message. A length check, for example, it's a telephone number. How? Length is not in millimeters or something. The number of characters or number of digits. So our telephone number in Sri Lanka, we have 10. It's fixed. So we can make use of that to check whether any digits are missing or any extra digits are entered. A range check, for example, the month in a date must not exceed 12. Likewise, the date in a month not to exceed 31. A limit check, for example, a maximum number of years for a person's age. Like eligibility to join a library or a club or something like that, association, is it 20 to 30 years. So then you can check with this range check. Sorry, limit check. You can limit so that you can't exceed. A range also is possible for that. 20 to 30 is a range. Marks, student mark system 0 to 100. That's a range. Say the limit check. You can limit the number for a person's age. You can limit this. Like say 150. You don't get the most is like 112, 118, 119, 120. Say 125. So that You can't enter. You can't make a mistake by 150 or 175. Then it knows it's a mistake. But if you limit it to 100, what happens? It's not a sensible decision limited to 100 because there are people more than 100 years. In that case, if you put 110, it will reject. Right. So that's a limit check. A type check. For example, only a numeric value for the month in a date. In a date for the month, only numeric value. Some, you can say characters. For February, FEB. So to type check, for example, only a numeric value for the month in a date. So for February, if that is set like that, then 02 can be entered for February. If you put like the other way around, like characters, 3 characters, then FEB. All those can be done. An existence check. For example, that a file exists, the file name referred to in the data entry. So if it says access this file, to check at that time whether that file is present or existing. If not, give a message. Other examples are like if you want to enter marks for a subject, you enter the subject Hindi or German or something like that, or aerospace engineering. But if it's not there in the school, in that curricula, then we check and say it's wrong. It's not available, not existing. That's the meaning of that. Existence check, whether it really exists. Verification of data entry. That's another way. Validation, not automatic, sometimes automatic, sometimes manual. Getting the user to confirm that the data entered was what was intended to be entered. For example, you take an application, student application in hand, and then start typing. Looking at the application. Okay, name, address, date of birth. After doing that, getting the user to confirm, is it okay? So you can look at it. Another user, other person can read it and confirm, because the same user reads it, he might do the same error again. If 3 looks like 8, he will see it as 8. Whereas another person looking at it will say, this is 3. Right? Also another way is type again, called double entry. Double entry. You type again, same document or the same information, get the computer to compare it, or you yourself can do it and see. The computer will compare the 2 documents and say, okay. Password. Have you done that? Sometimes when you enter the password, creating a new account, the website, you say, enter new password, confirm password. Enter email, confirm email. That means second time, if you make a mistake, then those 2 don't match. Computer doesn't know which one is correct. Computer doesn't know which password is correct. But it will say they don't match. So you have to manually check and enter the correct one. Check digit. Require a calculation to be made with the numbers that have been entered. Check digit. You will see in the back of your textbook, back cover. The ISBN number is given. Book number. It's a barcode. It's a barcode. But below the barcode, there is a number. And that the last digit is a check digit. The last digit. So it is calculated with the numbers that have been entered. Already now you enter the numbers. It is calculated. Those numbers are used and a calculation done with the check digit. Calculation involves an integer division from which the remainder is added as an extra 1 or 2 digits at the end of the series of numbers. You know, we have done the check digit before, how to calculate the check digit. This is just a reminder, refreshing your memory, how it is done. You divide by 11 or whatever the method. Then there is a remainder. Then if it is modulo 11, you divide the total, multiply it with the certain given numbers, you multiply each digit and get the total. And then divide by 11. Then there's a remainder. You don't forget about the answer there. You have the remainder. You deduct that remainder from 11 again. Not again, you divide that, subtract that remainder from 11. So supposing if the remainder is 2, and you deduct that 2 from 11, the answer that you get is a check digit. So 9 is a check digit at that time. If sometimes you might get 10 after dividing by 11, you might get the remainder as 10. Then it's not a digit, it's 2 digits. What do you do then? Use X. Use X for 10. If it is 10, use X. Key terms validation. Check that the data entered is of the correct type and format. It does not guarantee that that data is accurate. It doesn't know whether that data is right or wrong. As I said, 83 can enter 38. But if the age range is 20 to 30, 25 and some 27 or something like that will be accepted, even if it is not correct. The operator makes a mistake, but if the operator enters 25, instead of 25, it enters 52, then of course, because of this, that check, you can detect the range. The verification is confirmation of the data received by a system. Confirmation, like did you get the original document or is it changed? It has come without any change. That's a confirmation. Verification, right? When you hear a news, like the schools are closed tomorrow. Then what happens? You ask, who told you? Who told you? Because if it's a sudden thing, no? But the school didn't announce it. Who told you? What's the source? Is it news? TV news? Or who said that? Like you verify. Go to the source and check whether that is true, that is correct. So in this case, you go to the source and check whether the data received is correct. So there are many checks. We are doing this parity check and checksum. Parity check is either even or odd parity can be implemented in the 8th bit of the byte. Assuming even parity, this is the procedure. So these things, I don't have to tell you in detail. You have done in chapter, in the previous chapter, you have done it. All this is parity check, then checksum, automatic repeat request, ARQ, and echo check, like that, right? Checksum, altogether 4. So we are not going into details here, but just a little bit like a summary. For parity check, either even or odd parity can be implemented. Remember that the 8th bit of the byte only is used for that to balance the parity. Assuming even parity, this is the procedure. Supposing if it is even, at the transmitting end, the number of ones in the 7-bit code is counted. If the count gives an even number, the parity bit is set to 0. If the count gives an odd number, if the parity is set to 1, this is repeated for every byte in the transmission. At the receiving end, the number of ones in the 8-bit code is counted. Number of ones is counted. If the count gives an even number, the byte is accepted. That means there has not been any change. This is repeated for every byte in the transmission. Supposing if it in the count gives an even number, if it gives an odd number, can't be, you send an even number, then receiving end, if it is odd, that means a bit has changed. 1 bit or many bits, 3 bits or whatever, that change. The other thing, checksum. At the transmitting end, a block is defined as a number of bytes. Take a block of bytes, block of data or block of bytes. Then, no matter what the bytes represent, the bits in each byte are interpreted as a binary number. The sum of these binary numbers in a block is calculated and supplied as a checksum value in the transmitter. Checksum means check with this sum, whether it's correct. This is repeated for each block. The receiver does the same calculations and checks the sum of the numbers with the checksum value transmitted for each block in turn. So, what is a real life example? If I want to send some money to another person, if I just put the money into the envelope and then send it, like say $50, send it to that person opens up and he sees 45 and then, okay, so thank you very much. He just know the amount that I sent. How can I notify that receiver and that the receiver can check whether he got the correct amount? Can't I write the sum on the envelope or inside the envelope or somewhere? I write the amount, $50. And if he receives 45, he opens this and sees 45 and compares with you check the sum total with this written, and it doesn't tally. Then he can take action on it. I didn't get the correct one, send it again. Send the correct one. Once again, an error can be detected, but its position in the transmission cannot be determined. You don't know which bit has changed. Okay? So what are these that we did now? This is checksum and parity check for data transmission. The early ones, check digit, presence check, format check, length check, all those things are data entry. Type using the keyboard when you type, then and there it will check, the program will check automatically, it will tell you. Now what? Here is an example. Got example 9. Now let's look at this worked example 9.01. Using a parity block check. At the transmitting end, the program reads a group of 7 bytes as illustrated in figure 9.01. 7 bytes. This is one. Another like that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Sorry. The data is represented by 7 bits for each byte. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is blank. The most significant bit in each byte, that is this one, bit 7. This is bit 0. This is bit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Bit 7 is the 8th bit. Bit number 7, because it started from 0. Is undefined, so we have left it blank. These are the 7 bytes to be transmitted. The parity bit is set for each of the bytes, as in this figure. The most significant bit is set to achieve even parity. This we have to set to have these ones as even. If it is even parity, yeah, we are agreed upon. We are going to send on even parity basis. So how do you do? Just count the 7. 1, 2, 3, 4. There are 4 ones already in this, and it's even. So it's okay. So put a 0 there. You don't have to do any change. This one, 2, 3. It's odd now. Then we have to make it even. So you add another one here. Make use of this blank one, empty bit. Put one there so that this will become even. All like that, all are made like that. Look at another one. 1, 2, 3. Put another one to make it 4. So all these are, we have put one, only this one is already even. Then you send it. An additional byte is then created, and each bit is set as a parity bit for the bits at that bit position. This includes counting the parity bits in the 7 bytes containing data. This is illustrated here. If you send just 1 byte, imagine that only this 1 byte is going, and this has become 1. The receiving end, this has become 1. Then the receiving end knows, the receiving device knows that there has been an error. On the way, the 0 has changed to 1 due to a change in one of these. Or, sorry, this may be 0, maybe 0. That is one way. The other one is one of these is changed. One change here, so that it doesn't match. It just not is the result is not even. It's odd. But can you tell which one? You can't tell. It can be any of these. This one could have become 0, or this one could have become 0, or this one could have become 1. Likewise, any one, or even 3. Say all 3 changed. This one, and if this one changed to 0 and this 0 changed to 1, also there is no, you can't detect. It doesn't show as an error because the result will be 0, even. So because you can't tell which bit is wrong, only you are sending this another extra byte. I said, here down. The 7-bit code plus another extra byte, which is called parity byte. This is parity bit. These are the parity bits. The 7 bits are there, and then the last one is 8 now. Altogether, there are 8 parity bits. This parity byte, which will have this way. But we checked this way. Now we have to check vertically also whether it becomes. Imagine now, supposing this has changed to 1. Okay. If this changed to 1. See whether we can pinpoint. All these are okay. Check this. 1, counting the ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, this is 1 here. So you count that also. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's a mistake. But still we don't know because I marked it here. We know that that's the one that changed, but without that marking, you just receive this byte and you don't know which bit is wrong. Now let's check this way. These are all correct. These are all correct. Say 1, 2, 3, 4. You see? 1, 2. So 2 is also even. 1, 2, even. 1, 2, all 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, even. 1, 2, even. This one, 1, 2, 3. The other, we discover that is, so this byte is also wrong. This bit is wrong, and this byte is also wrong. Then where the intersection is, now we know that this is the wrong one. It's nice how to detect which one is wrong this way. Hear that? Yeah, now go to the next one. Next page, there are some questions for you. It may have seemed easy. You will think that, okay, I understood it. So easy. Explanation is okay. But when you try to do only, you will know whether you really understood or not. Assume that the 7 bytes shown in this figure contain data. So these are data. 7 bytes to be transferred. And bit is set to 0, but it is undefined at this stage because the 7-bit ASCII code represents character data. Choose a parity and change the value stored in the most significant bit to match this parity for each byte. Then create the 8th byte that would be used for transmission in a parity block check method. So you decide what are you going to have. Is it even or parity? Now how many bits are there here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All 8 are there. All done. Yeah? 1, 2. Yeah? 1, 2, 3. So all are zeros here. I mean, this is not a checked one. This is not the accurate, the real one, but the first one is 0 for you to change it. It says, then choose a parity. You can select. If it is even, then what happens to this bit? Nothing, no, because already it's 2. If you select odd, then what do you have to do? You have to put a 1 here. Then only it is odd. 1, 2, and 3. So likewise, you do that. And then finally, now here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 bytes are there. And the parity byte. And the parity byte, you can draw on your notebook, one below the other, so that you can imitate that table which was done earlier. Then check out. Then another question. The 8 bytes shown in figure 9.05, earlier one, have been received in a transmission using the parity block method. The first 7 bytes contain the data and the last byte contains the parity check bits. 8 bytes is received in transmission. Identify what has gone wrong during the transmission. What would happen after the transmission is checked? Right. Once you do those two and check it yourself, you can be satisfied whether you understood or not. Previous chapter where we did this detail. So here's a summary of what we have done. Important considerations for the storage of data. Data integrity, privacy, and security. Data protection laws relate to data privacy. Security measures for computer systems include authentication of users, prevention of unauthorized access, protection from malware, and methods for recovery following system failure. Security methods for data include backup procedures, user authorization, and access control. Data entry to a system should be subject to data validation and data verification. Verification for data transmission may be carried out using a parity check, checksum, or a parity block check method. So that's it. Now afterwards, you will have to do the exam style questions and make sure that you are up to that level. So till we meet in the next lesson, bye and good luck.